Okay, we wanted to continue on for a couple of things to consider during site selection. We're going to talk about the actual equipment placement. So the recommended range from where the person sits, we highly recommend having just a couple of footprints or very clearly identify where the individual should stand. From this point, the individual to the facing the camera, there should be a distance between at least 9 feet. 9 to 10 feet is ideal. That is the sweet spot for the camera to get a good, accurate reading, especially looking straight onto the camera. And again, that measurement, 2 seconds at most, the individual can move on. So we'll just show you here what we're talking about, just so we're absolutely clear. JT, if you'll come around here so I can talk and reference the face. So again, the reference point would be from the actual face of the camera. If you drop a plumb bob down to that point, drop a piece of tape on the floor. From that actual measurement right there, so you can see that we're actually sitting in about, our footprints are actually between 9 and 10 feet, so that's a nice sweet spot to have. The black body, again, this right here, I'll extend this back so you can just kind of get an overall sense of the dimensions. The black body needs to be behind the individual, in view of the IR camera at all times. And I'll just demonstrate here if you can actually see on this screen. So the black body's positioned right here. So it has to be in view of the IR camera. And one thing I will note between these two video boxes, this is the IR camera, this is the standard video camera. The video camera has a much wider field of view than the IR camera. So you're always referencing the IR window during setup. So this setup, having the screening point from 9 to 10 feet, those footprints in that area, gives you the best opportunity to capture kind of the average male and female. So average male standard deviation 70 inches tall plus or minus 4 inches, and female 65 inches plus or minus 3.5. Take into account for that and the field of view for the IR camera, as I mentioned earlier, it is narrower than the video camera. So when you look at that height alignment, you're getting people that really almost to 6'7" and all the way down to 4'8", 4'9". It should give you adequate field of view. It's always easier to have a really tall person lower themselves to get a good shot at the video camera, vice having a very short person, depending on your population at your site. If you know somebody that's extremely short, you may want to actually just have a block or something that you could slide under. But again, that's very rare situation to have to encounter that problem. The one thing that's very important is the people flow through this setup in the screening area. The one thing that cannot happen is you cannot have a person and set up your traffic pattern so that they actually break the line of sight between the camera and the black body. That's what will happen. You will get a false reading in the event that that is broken. The reason is that camera has to see that black body surface. The very face of this is sitting at 37 degrees C, and that camera is constantly referencing that. That is its permanent calibration reference point. So in the minute that's broken, you can start setting off. The system will actually take a screenshot, whatever is happening at that time. It just becomes a very nuisance at that point, and then the operator will get tired of that, and when you actually do have an alarm condition, that it may be ignored. So if the black body, if you have, depending on your site layout, an overhead mounting point, there is a 1/4-20 mount on the top of this black body as well. It could be, there's rubber feet as well as a 1/4-20 mount on the bottom. You could mount this on a shelf behind someone and get it up high enough so that kind of that normal distribution of people could walk right underneath it. Very easy to do that, but we just don't have a tripod tall enough to get it up into that area. So that would be a good option to ensure you don't have, and then you would open up some options for your traffic flow. But we suggest just having your traffic flow, if it's set off to the side, you could mirror image this setup any way you want depending on your entrance and exits. The other thing that's important to note, how you have the camera set up, make sure that wherever it's looking at, it's ideal if it has kind of that non-IR reflective background. Again, kind of a dull surface, material surface is great, medium gray to white is fine, drywall, but do not have the camera, if you're in a factory entranceway, you never want to have the camera looking towards doors that are getting opened to daylight. As soon as the door is open to daylight, that blasts the camera with intense IR energy and can really mess up the system. So it's best to make sure you could put a drop screen behind there to just block that so it does not get hit by any windows or daylight.